Hi, I'm John, and welcome to Edgetone Studios. So it's been 2 years to the day since I made the bizarre decision to announce the fact that I'd just been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease to the world on YouTube and Instagram and my Facebook. And something compelled me to do that. And after I did that, people reached out. My YouTube channel started growing. I really only had 4 or 5 videos at that time, and it's a brutal thing to get diagnosed with an incurable degenerative disease. And I don't know, when I first made the video, it was more about feeling like I had to process something for myself. But now that it's been 2 years and I'm reflecting on this journey that will be a continuous journey, it's my journey now. I think about how other people might have to deal with it as well. People have already dealt with it. And just think that maybe, I don't know, anything I have to say might be helpful or, insightful for people who have friends who have Parkinson's, etc. So it's a deviation from my normal, my normal videos on the channel. I do talk about Parkinson's often, but once a year, I think now I'll probably be reflecting on this journey. And so a year ago, we just finished our album, the album my daughter and I were working on together. We'd wrote 12 songs, we'd mixed them, we'd got them mastered, and we were looking at releasing. And this year has been a journey in learning about releasing music. And so before I really talk about where the Parkinson's is at, I wanted to kind of do an ad from my sponsor, which is us and our band Waveform Mountain. I probably will never have a sponsor on this channel. I can't never say never. I never thought I'd have Parkinson's either. But we wrote this kick-ass album, like this kick-ass synth pop album that, I would say is probably my second favorite album that's come out this year. And the only reason it's not my favorite album that's come out this year is because Metric released their Formentera 2, and I love Metric, and they are so much more polished than us. But still, we wrote this fantastic album, and the big thing for me would be I don't often say like or subscribe to this channel. Do what you want. If you watch my stuff, that's great. But what I would appreciate is if you like or subscribe to our Waveform Mountain YouTube channel, or better yet, go and listen to us on streaming. And I know that people don't have the time these days or the inclination, or they don't listen to full albums as much. And it's a wonderful journey, this album in itself. It's called Processing. And because it's a full album and you may want to sample it, I'll give you a couple tips on what to listen to. So if you like sort of rockier pop, check out The Hermit, which is the first song on the album. If you want something with a little bit more of a chill vibe, chill kind of pop song, check out Too Much. If you're into electronica and something really moody, check out Exhale, which is our favorite song on the album. And it's interesting because I'm not a huge electronica fan, but we have that sort of style. If you want something that's a little bit moodier and darker and has some hard rock elements or hard, almost metal-esque elements to it, check out I Want It Back. And if you like something jazzier vibe, then check out This Won't Last. And lastly, if you want to hear the song that was inspired by my Parkinson's diagnosis, check out Everything Changes. It's one of our favorites. Those are, I wouldn't even say those are like the 6 best songs on the album, but they're all great. And I didn't have this one in my notes, but I would also say check out Ignite for probably one of the coolest sounding songs on the album. So I'd appreciate it. Or tell your friends if you know someone who likes all synth pop type music more than you do. That would be fantastic. So anyways, the Parkinson's diagnosis really affected my approach to everything, really. I built the studio. We had the album project going. COVID was winding down. And then I got hit by this brutal diagnosis, and I'd had these plans that, I'm going to bring lots of clients in, and I'm going to make some money to pay back all the investment I put in the studio, and I really get going on like the recording other people. And the diagnosis really caused me to think about loss, really, like the loss of my ability to do stuff into the future. And I reconsidered and thought, screw that. I'm going to do what will be good for me, good for my soul. Like writing our album was just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. So I thought, originally I wasn't going to do YouTube so much because I built a studio to do audio, not to do video. But that kind of changed. I thought, well, let's dig into YouTube. I like editing videos. Let's start making stuff. So I came up with this idea of doing a series on musicians of Vancouver Island and featuring other artists, and so that they didn't have to pay for studio time. I could create some cool content, have fun doing it, and it would be a win-win for people. So I think that, really the diagnosis caused me to shift to having this idea of being maximally aware of my time and my life and how I'm spending it, and trying to enjoy it the best I can do. So that's really the shift that happened. And so then I've talked before about ditcommunity.com, which is an online music resource for musicians, indie artists, anyone in the music industry who wants to connect to people and start building and working towards an interesting career in music, or if you're somewhere along the path. And, I promoted it early or late last year and early this year, and was invited to do weekly sessions. So now I run this weekly session that's called In the Studio with John Woodland, which is just so funny to me that I have this thing. It was never my intention. But I basically I come on there and I talk. You can join live, and I talk about audio and try and give some feedback, or not feedback, but some advice on how to approach learning audio if you're a musician trying to make your way in this world of we have to do everything ourselves, it seems like. And the cool thing about Do It Together, or DIT, is that the point is, don't do it yourself. Do it together. Collaborate with people, find people to help you work with other people. So that's one thing going on. So then I started this Musicians of Vancouver Island series in the summer, and I got my first band lined up, and then soon had 17 bands lined up to the end of the year. And before I even got to the third one, something started happening to my hearing. So I don't believe this is Parkinson's related, but I don't see my neurologist until next week. So that'll be my year checkup. But I've seen my doctor. We're considering it's fluid in the ears. It's been over 12 weeks. It's starting to clear now that I'm on a nasal spray. But it caused frequency loss. It caused ringing. That's mostly come back. There's still some ringing. I'm able to do audio work again. But it also caused unbalance and vertigo issues, which are really not fun. I had one weekend where it was Friday night till Sunday morning. I had vertigo. So 72 hours of vertigo. The first time I had it, it was off to the emergency ward, and when it lasted a day. But again, they haven't found anything. I've got another neurologist appointment for that. So that kind of impacted my series, but it's starting to pick up again, which is great, and I'm enjoying doing that. And I hope you check it out on my channel. But Parkinson's is definitely progressing. So I guess the main thing is that, it's affected my right side of my body. So my right hand shakes quite a bit more. It's pretty good at the moment. But there's certain positions I can put it in where it'll just start tremoring, and it'll be like sometimes just like this, right? Like going wild. So it impacts my ability to type, which is a pain because I like writing. And it impacts my ability to play, but I'm still playing. And it's definitely affected my walking and changed my gait. And I walk every day. It's my minimum exercise activity. I should do more, and I talked about that before, and probably will begin in that. But some of the things that have gone on with the ear issues and the Parkinson's during the fall here. I've had some pretty bizarre things. I had one day when I was on my walk, and instead of just being kind of stiff, my entire right side felt like it just seized right up, and it was a slog to get myself to keep moving and make my body keep going. And I've had several times where halfway through a walk, I usually walk half an hour, 40 minutes, sometimes an hour, hour and 20. But halfway through a walk, I've suddenly gotten kind of dizzy and like I'm going to faint, and had to slow right down or sit down for a bit and just wait. It almost felt like low blood sugar. Maybe there was some low blood sugar happening, but this happened several times, and it happened a few more times since the vertigo from the ear issues went on. So that's been fairly brutal. But I think in general, what I've done right for myself is what I've done mentally. And after the diagnosis, I started getting myself prepared for a life with this disease. And to do that, you got to do some self-reflection. And, part of it was the change my approach to how I'm going to spend my time. But part of it was figuring out how I'm going to manage the progression at the same time as enjoying my life. So what level of effort will I put into fighting against this thing versus just trying to enjoy my time? And I'm trying to find that balance. And I think the first year was tough, but this year I've definitely had a lot more like darker moments where I've just felt brutally down about what's going on. But that's started to shift now. And I think a lot of it has to do with how I think about it. And how I think about it is, you imagine that you have a future that's going to be a certain way, right? I imagined I had a future where I was never going to have Parkinson's disease, never considered that that's the disease that'll impact me. So you also imagine that you're going to live a certain amount of time. So I'm 60 now, I can imagine I might live to 80. Maybe I'll be really good and I'll live till 90. But before I had Parkinson's, that was a different vision of what that might look like than what's it going to look like in 20 years of having Parkinson's if I make it to 80. And it helps to sort of shift your focus, or it's helped me to shift my focus to understand that I never knew how long I was going to have, what was going to happen to me, and anything I've ever imagined in the future has just been exactly that, imagination. So as I've had these darker moments where I've really imagined the worst scenario, like not being able to walk in a year or 2 or 3, I've rewritten the script in my head and said, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to then. I don't have to worry about that. I only have to worry about dealing with what I'm dealing with today and try and move forward. So, for example, when I first got diagnosed last year, so I guess after it's been about 8 months, I decided to sell my beautiful custom-made 5-string bass that I'd had custom-made because I was having more difficulty playing at that point in time. And maybe that was a poor decision. Maybe it was the right decision. But after I sold it, I looked for a replacement 4-string bass that was similar. I couldn't find exactly what I wanted, so I bought something that was a compromise. And I kept thinking, maybe I'll get a custom shop made. And then my brain would go, yeah, but you might not be able to play in a year. Maybe you shouldn't order a custom shop bass. And this summer, I finally decided, screw that. I'm just going to order one. It's probably not going to show up till about next July. And maybe I won't be able to play bass by then, but I'm still going to try and achieve the things I want to achieve while this progresses. So really shifting my mindset to just trying to appreciate what I've got now and view the future as positive anyways, whether it's going to be or not. It doesn't help living in the present if you're viewing the future as negative, because if I'm viewing it negative, I'm ruining today. I'm not ruining the future. The future is going to happen how it's going to happen. So that's kind of my summary of how my mental shift has changed. I think that I've hit that point where all the talking about Parkinson's and all the sharing about it has now made me comfortable with surviving it and being someone who lives with it. And, I think when I first got diagnosed, I didn't ever want to reach that. Like, I was like, I'm going to fight this thing. I don't want to have this. And now it's more, I'm accepting of what I've got. And so therefore I can move through it and do something with it. And I thought I'd done that early on, but it really hadn't really shifted. I'd say in the last month, as my ears started clearing up and I started getting hopeful about being able to do things again with music and realizing, okay, that was also a temporary thing, that really shifted things for me. So, there's been a couple breakthroughs in Parkinson's research even this summer. There's a possible diagnostic test right now coming out of Florida, as well as a potential immune booster, or almost like a vaccine that could prevent the breakdown of the cells, prevents the protein that causes the problem that folds these cells, that destroys them in your brain. So it's fascinating stuff. There's also the GLP-1 drugs. They're showing some promise in preventing or reducing the progression of the disease. So I'm hopeful about those things, but I'm not going to rely on those as like the way I'm going to survive this. I'm going to survive this by trying to continue to have the right mental state for getting by, and realize that sometimes it's going to be fucking tough, because sometimes it is already fucking tough. And I guess that's my year 2 synopsis. It'll be interesting to see for myself next year what my reflections are at that point in time, how things have changed. But I really appreciate your support, those of you who watch my channel for my creative work, and for those of you who have been following my journey. There's lots of you who have reached out. I thank you so much. And I say to anyone out there who's suffering with some condition that's difficult, talk about it, share it with people. It makes it so much easier and more comfortable to deal with if you're not hiding away what's going on for you. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you for listening. This is John signing off from Edgestone Studios. I never do that. Why'd I do that? Okay, I'm signing off from Edgestone Studios. We'll see you next time. Bye.